Welcome. I wanted to look at styling clay today, and in industrial design you're very interested in form and actual products and objects, and if you can work at full scale that's always good. So we'll look at styling clay here, Plasteline, and this is actually plastic, so you're carving in plastic and it doesn't dry out. And there's different grades. This is a hard grade, very hard, and this is medium grade here, and then soft grade, which is, you can hear by the difference in sound, how they sound different. So this carving here is quite old, and it's very strong. You kind of beat it up, and it's in really good shape. So that's what you can do with hard clay. And soft clay acts more like clay that most of you are familiar with. It moves easily without any treatment. Now, we have a clay oven. It's right over there, and we preheat the clay. Especially the hard clay, you have to preheat. The medium clay, it makes life a lot easier, but you don't need to. And what you're doing is you're softening the clay, and that way it makes it easier to work with. And this is basically carving wood. You can think of it as being carving basswood, except for you're working with clay. So you can do a lot of neat things with it. And often for detail, you don't want it heated. You want it hard. You can get a lot of good detail in there. And I'm just going to show you a little demo of sorts. Before I do that, I can show you some other examples. Here's a little man. You can paint the clay directly, or you can cover it with spackling compound, and you can do it with foam too, and then you can sand it and get a different surface finish, and then of course Bondo for a fiberglass finish. It's really strong, and you can paint all this and do whatever you'd like, but often it's for studying form. With additive manufacturing, of course, you can print these out, but what you're doing here is sculpture. You're creating something and you see it as it develops, so it's very much like sculpture, and you can do wonderful things with it. And again, now you're engaging with a medium that's very human. It's not clicking on a mouse button or rotating a space ball and all this sort of thing. You're actually creating sculpture. Real important for the creative aspects of industrial design. This hammer has been sitting on a windowsill for a bunch of years, and you can see UV light does get to it. It's in pretty good shape, but it's been cracked from the time. This is a really good approach for doing handles. You can do sort of relief carvings of different sorts. You can put inside mandrel, so there's a tube in here, so you get the weight correct, so you can actually work with that. Really, you can do some very interesting studies in form, and you can obviously mix media. This is soft clay, so you can do interesting things. So anyways, one of the arsenals in your tool belt. You can also, over here, you can use a heat gun to heat the clay, and this will melt it if you'd like, or you can warm it up. It's good for joining pieces. When you join pieces, it's good to insert some wire in there as well. You can heat it, push it really hard, let it dry. You can cast things. So this is a plaster casting I made, and I poured clay into it. So you can do all sorts of interesting things. Here's a little heart. And anyway, those are just some ideas of what you can do with it. But of course, you're limited only by your creativity. The typical tools, you have loop and ribbon tools that are used for carving, a needle tool for detail, old hacksaw blades, good for larger cuts, a wire saw, which I don't have right here, a knife, a couple knives you can use. You can get a lot of different things to work with. So there's some nice ribbon tools that you can, loop tools that you can get that let you do a lot of different things. And you can put this on a core or a mandrel if you'd like. So if you have a base, if you want to do something large, you don't want to make it all from clay. You want to make a mandrel with wood and foam and chicken wire even, and something that screws I use so that the clay has something to grab onto. But I just want to introduce you to this one technique, and here we'll look at a slice of medium clay. This is unheated. And one thing I can do is I can transfer an image onto this clay. I could actually, I didn't actually have a piece of paper here to do this with, but I could lay a piece of paper with an image, and I can poke through the paper and make an outline right in here with a bunch of dots, which aren't going to show up here. That's okay. But I can actually make dots and transfer an image on here in a lot of ways. But what I'm going to do now is use this as a drawing pad, and I'll draw just a simple image, and I'll try to arc that up here so you can see it. And here I literally just draw with this needle tool, and I can erase easily too. That's all it takes to erase. So I can use this to draw with. And then if a good study that we could do here is to look at a window, and this is a little bit of the technique. This is kind of the detail technique, but it's a good way to start. And if I want to make a window, like a recessed window, I can draw in this window. And here you have something that's akin to contour lines in drawing. Clay does not look like this. You need to work with shadows. So if this was a window, I would draw in my window, and then I would use my needle tool, for example, and cut a relief in here. And you can stand up if you want to show that. Just in the video might be better because I'm going to do a little detail here. Okay. Oops. And then I can carve out the window, and then I can kind of buff it with the edge of the needle tool, like so. And then I can deburr it, like so. And that's a technique. And this can be very time consuming to get good detail, but that's how you can get a relief in there that looks good. So let me do this side here. So I cut out the clay on the inside, and what I'm trying to do is develop a shadow. I'll buff it with this and deburr. That's pretty much a technique. If you do this with soft clay, soft clay gives you big burrs, and it's a little more frustrating to do this kind of detail work. So for carving, detail carving, medium clay or hard clay that's not heated is the best, because it will really hold its shape. And you can also apply texture. While I have the needle tool, I can apply texture, which is helpful sometimes. So here I have a diamond plate texture that I rolled in. So you can roll things into it. You can push things into it. You can insert wires. You can take found objects and stick them in the clay. You have no limitations as far as that goes. Then just for large creations of form, I would use a hacksaw blade or a knife and carve. Let's see, I'll use a soft clay, I suppose. I'll use this like a knife. This is what I do, because when you develop the form in the clay, you want to get the form quickly and save the hand muscles for the detailed work. So the fine motor skills are still available to you for detailed work. So you can literally just gouge in with this, and you tear out a lot of material. You extract the form from the block of clay just like Michelangelo. No different. So I can use, this is a real power cut here. I could use obviously the other side for finer work and different radii. And again, I can cut the clay and saw it. The hacksaw blade works good for that. Then I have, for detailed work, I can use these. There's a whole assortment of them, and I can do all kinds of things. And again, that's saved for detail work. You can get nice edges with this. You can get nice squares and such. So you can do some really nice carving as well. So you can create form quickly, and then when it comes to creating detail, you can use the ribbon and the loop tools and the needle tool, which is a really good tool for deburring as well. So a real powerful medium lets you do things full scale, real time, in a group, and you see your creation evolve just like a statue. Thank you.